guys, before I get started with the review for this video, please make sure that you like the video or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Trust me, it makes a massive difference and it does help the channel and help us all grow together. So I would appreciate that. Today we're talking about the movie Oxygen. Oxygen is a new sci-fi mystery survival thriller that is new to Netflix. This was directed by Alejandro Aja, or is it Alexandra? I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this person's name. Does anybody actually have their name pronounced Alexandra or Alexandre? Or however it's said. I thought it was always Alejandre when it's something like that. This film also stars Melanie Laurent. Now, the setup for this movie is pretty simple. There's a woman that wakes up in a cryogenic tube or chamber of some kind, and she has no idea how she got there. Not only does she not have any idea how she got there, she also doesn't have memory of herself as a person. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't remember her past. She doesn't know any of that. And unfortunately, her oxygen is also being depleted by the minute. She's running out of air. She's going to eventually run out of air and die. So she has to try to figure out how to survive, how to conserve her oxygen, and also figure out how she got herself into this situation. Everything about the setup for this movie, a woman trapped in a chamber. It's a very enclosed space. The camera is pretty much focused on her the whole time. She can't get out, she can't escape. She also doesn't remember who she is. A lot of people probably had the same thought when I mentioned that setup, when I mentioned that premise. They were like, oh, that Ryan Reynolds movie, Buried, right? I would say, yeah, for the most part. Those comparisons are actually pretty on point. If you haven't seen it, Ryan Reynolds stars in a movie called Buried that came out a few years ago, which pretty much follows him. He's like buried underground. He's trapped in like I'm not sure what he was, a coffin or something like that. But it's not just Buried and Oxygen that you can find similarities between. I mean, if you actually look at it, there are a lot of movies that have been made with this premise over the years. So on the one hand, it might sound very familiar, maybe overly familiar to the person that's coming into this movie looking for something new or something interesting to grab their attention. So on the one hand, this is a survival thriller. This is about a woman trying to figure out how to survive. She's running out of oxygen. She doesn't have a lot of options, a lot of resources at her disposal, but she has to use the resources that are available to her in order for her to survive. But then there's also a great sense of mystery and intrigue to this movie too. The director intentionally hides information from us, and it kind of takes us back at different points in the movie to show us her past, to show us some flashbacks that maybe give us a little bit more insight into her, but also how this cryogenic chamber came to be and how she came to be there. And then it also has kind of a sci-fi twist to it. You know, it feels like a movie that it takes place in a sci-fi genre. So it satisfies all three of those while also remaining unique to itself. The movie kind of plays tricks with your head, just like it plays tricks with the character's head who's going through this. I mean, she feels very disoriented. Obviously, she's out of whack. She's losing air, and at times in the movie she believes certain things, and because of her you believe certain things too. I like the fact that the director shows a very good sleight of hand in how he builds tension with the mystery in this movie, because there's a lot of times where the answers will turn out to be a lot different than the question that you had already formed in your head when you see her going through this. A lot of this paranoia, this panic, this fear, and a lot of the feelings that a person would feel being in the situation are captured perfectly by Melanie Laurent. She's great. I've always looked at her as like that woman from Now You See Me. You know, the first Now You See Me movie that came out like, I don't know, 2013, I think it was. I know that she's been in a lot of other stuff, but that's the movie that I first noticed her in, I guess. But she's excellent in this movie. She's tremendous. She gives a powerhouse performance. Her performance is key because she's really the focus of the entire movie. She's the central figure. If you don't buy her performance, and if therefore because of her performance, you're not invested in her survival, then that means basically that most of the movie will fall flat for you because you don't care about her survival and you're just trying to get to the end of the movie. Luckily, at least for me, her performance really kept me invested. Natural air of claustrophobia to it because it's in an enclosed space, but there's also a ticking time bomb because you're watching her oxygen get lower and lower as the movie goes on. It's a thrilling movie, but it's also a very good mystery, and I like the way the director was able to tie all of that together. Like I said, it's a very familiar premise, it's a very familiar setup. A lot about this movie, especially in the first half of it, is gonna feel like a lot of been there, done that. If you're able to hang on a little bit and just stay tuned and stay on the journey that the film is taking you on, I do feel like that feeling will go away. But for like the first 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes or so, it's kind of rough there. I do feel like the film also sometimes overstays its welcome a little bit. There are some things in this movie that feel like they were drawn out to their breaking point, like just dragged out endlessly to fill up the runtime, and it doesn't always feel like the best use of the film's pacing. The pacing is frustrating in that sense, and it goes in hand with the character. Some people are going to be frustrated by some of the decisions decisions that are made. Overall, I actually really enjoyed Oxygen. I think it's a satisfying thriller. It's a satisfying survival movie. I am always a sucker for a good sci-fi. I think the performance is good. Oxygen was actually a really good watch on Netflix. I'm going to put this one in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. Tell me, have you seen it? What is your favorite survival movie of all time? Put that in the comment section down below. Stay tuned for more videos. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.